All set? Okay, we're going to take a look at the Suite Number 3 in D major by Bach. This was one he did for the court, now not a church piece, as the last cantata that we heard, but a court piece, a secular piece. A suite is a set of dances, except usually in a suite the first movement is not a dance, it's an overture. And the overture style, typical of Baroque, was called a French overture. And the French overture is really defined by, here it is, this rhythm. It's called a dotted rhythm, and Camille talks about dotted rhythms here, but he doesn't explain this here. He explained it a little bit in the first chapter, but we didn't go into that much detail, so I need to explain exactly what that means. A dot says, I'm going to take this note. It sounds really complicated. Western notation is really complicated. It takes this note and adds half of it. And this is an eighth note, so it's half as long. So this was your left hand, this was your right hand, but the left hand is 1.5 beats instead of 1 beats. So it's bum, da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. Yeah, something like. So it goes like this, dum, da-dum, 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 which is exactly what we heard at the beginning of the cantata. Remember, the violins went yum, da-dum, da-dum, and then the oboes went dum, da-dum, and that was playing on the French overture idea. Bach did that intentionally in that at the beginning, because what is the bridegroom is coming into the city? This is procession, right? It's kind of creates a procession. Now, for this purpose, at the court of a king or a prince, it has a more literal meaning. This is really the procession. Again, symbolically, usually, because sometimes they actually played it for a procession. But more often it was a symbolic procession of, this is the king, this is the court, I'm playing this orchestral music, and this is the grand opening, right? So the procession into the event, right? And you can almost feel yum, da-dum, da-dum. Yeah, I'm not sure what I did. That was a skip, that's not me. But anyway. But it's supposed to have a kind of a grandiose feeling. Now, in this piece, it goes much slower. Yum, da-dum, da-dum, like that, okay? But Handel will do the same thing at the beginning of Messiah. For those of you who know Messiah, and some of you at home I'm sure have sung this or heard it at least, that first movement begins with a French overture as well. Very often, and here as well, the French overture style begins it, and then in typical Baroque fashion, there's a quick shift of mood, and it goes fast into a fugue. That's what happens here, that's what happens in Handel, that's what happens sort of in a different way in the Bach first movement of the cantata, right? It gets quicker, except that he blends it in. Here, he finishes the French overture, and then the same movement moves quickly into a fugue. We're going to feel that Baroque contrast. That's typical of the beginning, and what happens in the rest of the suite are short little numbers that are very literally dances. And that's what suite means, it's a collection of dances. One is a gavotte, one is a minuet, one is a bourrée. And those are various dances, and they actually were danced at the court, sometimes probably to this very music. You can look those up online. You'll see a bunch of those. It's very elegant. It gave the chance for the men at the court and the women at the court to flirt with each other, because you line up, and then you have a partner, and then you dance for a while, and then you shift, and all this just starts, suddenly you're flirting with the next person, and then you keep going down the line. And in a very elegant and very staid and very formal court, like the Baroque court, that was essential, because people were very set in their roles at a court. If you were that person, you didn't step out of line. And this was literally a way to dance symbolically with each other and to break some of those formalities. Does this make some sense? So that's part of what makes a Baroque dance so interesting. I'm just going to quickly jump through a couple of these. As typically, the overture is a little longer than the others, but let's just listen to some of these. Page 135, you have this laid out for you. It's not a listening guide, it's just a quick description, so I don't need to say so much, I think, in this one. Here we hear the first movement. I think we hear it. That's the chord. They're played very softly. That dotted rhythm is a little bit, there it is. Boom, boom. You hear it in the background. Boom, 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 boom. Bum, 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 right? One of the cool things is the way when the upper voices come down, the cellos that come up, like the dum, 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 dum. That's really, when you start to hear that, that's really cool. Try to listen to the bottom and the top. Keep your ears on both of them. It's hard to do. Especially when the trumpets are sort of talking in between. By the way, they don't exist anymore. The trombone now goes like this, right? Or it has bells. Those are old oboes. Notice that the melody keeps coming in at different levels, right? That's a fugue. Fugue, F-U-G-U-E. And now we go to that constant motion feeling of the late Baroque style, right? The phrase hardly ever ends. It just keeps moving. Okay, now you can listen to the rest on your own. I don't think we necessarily need to do that right here. I think we've said what we need to say about that contrast and that opening style. Let's see if I can find the beginning of the second movement is the air, I believe, right? And you may recognize this melody.